welcome to the workout. We have 4 movements going on today. We are going to be doing 8 reps per side for each of them, and for the last one it's going to be a timed static stretch. And I am going to be working through all of the reps on these movements. So this is a follow along video for you to put on and do the reps with me. And you can play this a couple times to do more rounds. You can pause it and do extra rounds, whatever you are feeling. So we're starting with a hip airplane that is supported with the box. Each of these movements are going to involve a box or a couch or a chair or some sort of surface that you have available to you, maybe a bench if you're at the gym. And what I'm doing here is I'm extending my leg behind me, feeling some activation in my glute and hamstring. And then I'm rotating my hip out to the side, then looking back at my foot. You can see, especially on the right side, I'm like kind of not being super perfect here. It's not about being perfect, it's about allowing yourself the space to get some of that external rotation in the hip and to help sort of open up through there. So I'm in this video doing 8 reps per side of the hip airplanes. These can also be done from a standing position or a quadruped position on the ground without a box. Up next, we're going to be moving into a little bit of strength action where we're going to do a goblet step up. Now you can rack your weights however you like to rack your weights. You can hold 2 weights at your side. You can do an offset rack with 1 weight on your shoulder. Whatever you're feeling works for me. Here I'm doing 8 reps per side and I'm working with all my reps on one side before moving to the next side. And a couple of checkpoints here are to plant your foot fully on the box, mentally connect with that spot, with that foot grounding onto the box. Worry less about what your back leg is doing. Yes, you don't want to feel out of control on your back leg, but really dig into the control you do have on your front leg and the fact that you're feeling this movement up through your hamstring and glute on that front leg specifically, as well as your quad down the front of your leg. Here we're working on some single leg strength. And in a similar vein, we're going to keep with our single leg strength vibe and move into a split stance box squat. So this is one of my favorite movements to do as opposed to like a pistol squat or something that feels like really challenging for many of us. Here we're going to take a staggered stance, and it's easiest, I think, to start on the box. So you're seated, and I am thinking about, similarly to the step up, my foot that's fully planted, in this case my right foot, the one closest to you, is really the working leg. The opposite leg is just there for balance. You can pick that up off the ground if you can do a single leg squat if you want to advance this a little bit. I have an offset rack here, so my weight's up on my shoulder, and I'm also doing 8 reps here per side. Again, you're digging into that foot that's fully planted, thinking about connecting as you lift up off the bench through your glute and hamstring on that working side. And our last movement we're going to be doing is not really a movement, it's a stretch. It's going to be an elevated pigeon where I'm using the box to help pick up my leg. Now this really, I'm really tight on my left side specifically, so this, you can't tell how much pain I'm in, but I am in excruciating pain. We are going to take our shin, the outside of our shin, and place it up onto the surface. Now this will feel a little bit uncomfortable if your surface is very hard, so I recommend doing this on a couch. Here I am checking the time and struggling. And I'm holding here for 60 seconds per side. Now, I think that's a decent minimum. I would say 60 to 90 seconds per side. You can work more in like the 45-second range, 30 seconds. You can make this move a little bit more intense by leaning forward, which you'll see me do on the opposite side. But I'm letting my opposite leg kind of just chill out behind me. I'm focusing on stretching through that front glute. There I go, tapping my butt. And we're gonna stay here as a static stretch, like I said, for 60 seconds per side. So once you reach the end, we're gonna switch sides. Doesn't have to be super graceful or delicate, but here I'm gonna start stretching through the opposite side glute. And the leg that's behind you, I forgot to mention before, you do want to kind of squeeze through that glute to kind of help stretch through the hip flexor. That's one of the things that the elevated position kind of helps with. But here I am leaning forward because I feel a little bit looser on this side, so I do have the ability to do that and kind of push the stretch a little bit. If you can, push to around the edges of where you feel comfortable here. You do not want to strain. You don't want to be feeling any sharp pain or anything that feels like, whoa, this is too much. But you do want to feel a solid stretch, and the pigeon stretch is going to be one that for many of us is going to make us a little bit uncomfortable, especially if you are a runner, especially if you are somebody that does a lot with your lower body. And if you made it this far with me, thank you so much for being here. Integrate these movements into your current routine as you see fit. And remember that lifting can be a grounding force. I hope you use strength training and resistance training in weightlifting in ways that make you feel really good and strong as hell. Happy training.